Hey, Lorna.
Hi, Christine.
Happy Magic Tuesday,
Happy
everybody.
Magic Tuesday.
Sorry for the
Third time's
delay.
the charm on this one.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
But we have a great topic for you, so hope you're able to tune in. The topic is how not to take things personally.
Yeah. How to not.
Really sensitive one, right?
We're guilty of this, right? We take things so personally. People say things and we get all affronted and
Hmm.
it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good.
No, it doesn't feel good. It kind of has us, trying to do that whole thing where, questioning yourself. Am I doing this right? What do I need to do to make sure that someone doesn't misunderstand me? And oh my gosh, what are they thinking? And
Right. And they're mad at me, or, how come this always happens? Like, why I feel so attacked all the time.
yeah, and it's a huge energy drain. So again, what we notice is when we are in this, it keeps us in very reactive mode. It keeps us in defensive mode. It's a huge, huge drain on our emotional and our physical energy,
Right.
right?
It's almost like we have these walls up, like we're like, leave me alone, leave me alone.
Yeah. Or sometimes someone can say something and it's like, ouch. I mean, it's like really like a sucker punch. I mean, and we sit there and go, my God, what? I mean, I'm being a little dramatic, but it can feel like that
No,
sometimes.
it really
Right?
can feel like that.
Yeah.
And so I think the first thing we want to point out is, kind of this notion that are only going to affect us if there's some amount of truth in it. Now, not a truth that we are not accepting about ourselves, right? So if someone says something, if you yell at your child and they yell right back at you, generally it's because you have caught them doing something that they know they're not supposed to do, right? If someone says something to us and we're innocent, we don't react because we don't worry about it because we say it's not true, right? And I like to use the example from the Pitch Perfect movie when Fat Amy introduces herself as Fat Amy, and they say, "You call yourself that?" And she says, "Yeah, so skinny bitches like you won't." Or don't do it first, right? So she's accepting herself, and she knows that this is something that she's overweight, right? And so she makes it so that she takes it off the table of being something that can be thrown at her as an insult.
Right. So, a huge part of moving through this is identifying your emotional triggers, right? Because when, like you said, when affronted or attacked, in arguments, in certain situations, unless there's something that's touching our stuff, if you will, right? Something that's kind of, a sensitivity around, maybe it reminds us of a certain thing. Maybe as a child, you grew up with really, overcritical parents, so you get into a discussion or a heated discussion with your spouse and they start to say critical things about you. And it's just like, ouch. Right.
Yes.
So identifying, what your unique sensitivities are, what those emotional triggers are. Listen, at the end of the day, this is the same work. This is, kind of the idea that we have to be committed to looking for the root cause of our unhappiness, the root cause of our patterns and our conditioning and our suffering that keeps us stuck, because nothing that's ever happening when it comes up is really relating necessarily to what's going on in the present moment. It's usually we're replaying what we've memorized, old emotions, old scripts, that's just coming back up for us. Yeah. And we can go in a circle, right, Lorna? If we continue, if we don't look for that root cause, we'll just continue to hit each other's stuff and so on and so forth. Not a good place to be.
Correct. So knowing your own buttons, knowing the things that affect you, and, recognizing if you are always someone who feels like you have to explain yourself, feels like, well, I always have a reason for everything I do, but I feel like no one understands it. And then, I get attacked or I get misunderstood. And, that's a temperature. That's a way that we can go through life that, as you said, can really drain your energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's taking your piece in. And then the other part of it is recognizing the other person, right? So we very often, we will always say in this work, it's always about us. And that what this point we're about to make is really still about us, which is to say that whatever anyone else says to you is still about them, right? What Christine says is about Christine. What I say, what Lorna says is about Lorna. And we think that we're talking about each other, but we're really just talking about ourselves.
So when someone's rude to you, that's on them. When someone cuts you off in traffic, that's about them, right? When someone judges you, again, that's about them, right? And if we can remember that it's a reflection of what's going on within their inner world, right? It's a lot easier. It's very freeing, in fact, not to take it personally, right? It allows you to kind of step out of that reactive mode. It doesn't hurt so much.
Yeah, when you realize that it's about the other person, and when you've taken the trigger away from yourself, and when someone, out of left field kind of attacks you, you walk into the office and someone has like kind of this conniption fit, and when you can recognize that it has nothing to do with you and that it's really about them, you can actually step back and say, wow, I wonder what's going on with them. Is there something wrong? Is their marriage okay? Are they afraid of losing their job? What's happening with that person?
Yeah. Which takes it makes it easy not to take things personally. When we realize, again, Don Miguel Ruiz, right? Nothing's personal. I mean, that's the kind of thing. Now, the other piece you want to bring up is it's not a matter of just blowing it off. It's not saying, oh, well, screw him, I'm not going to take this personally. And you walk off in a huff either. It's not about that, right? Again, we don't want to bypass the process. Again, this is a commitment to deeper learning and deeper self-exploration about why we do what we do, right? So we want to take that pause. We want to sort of, as you said, step into either what might be going in with the other person. Is this hitting my stuff? Is there something that within me that I don't, that needs my attention again? I'm not really looking at, am I not being authentic, right? Because that's another sign, another way to say, like Fat Amy did, she's embracing who she is. So what if we took all that energy, again, put it back where it belongs, do what lights you up. Be who you are. Let go of the need to belong and be accepted and have everybody else approval and tell us that we're okay. Do that inner work yourself, right? And then you're freeing yourself. You're freeing yourself from the acceptance of anybody else, which is really much more freeing, again.
Right, because, if you recognize that it's hitting one of your buttons, right? You realize that you're triggered. Figure out what the person actually said, right? What did they say? And then ask yourself, is it true? Right? Because generally there's some truth in it, and that's why you've reacted. And then say, well, what am I making that mean? Right? If it's true, it doesn't have to mean that I'm a lesser than person. It doesn't have to mean that I've done anything wrong. Or even if I did do something wrong, I made a mistake. I'm human. Everybody makes mistakes, right? But but don't jump to the place that says, oh, I made a mistake, which means I'm a terrible person. Right? That might be what's underneath, and that's what you may be making it mean, which is making you feel so badly.
Exactly. So nothing's personal. Everything is, anything anybody says or does is a reflection of them. Be who you are, embrace your true self, spend your energy, time, and focus on tending to what lights you up and embracing the truth of who you are. Release everybody else from the obligation to make you happy and tell you that you belong and that you're okay, right?
Yes, and accept all the things about yourself. Accept that you have faults, accept that you make mistakes, accept that you, right? Because that just makes us more comfortable in our skin. Yes. Everybody has those things. Everybody has all the emotions. Everybody has done things wrong. Everybody has hurt other people. It doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you human. And the more that you can accept those parts of yourself, the less likely you are to take things personally, because you know who you are.
Yeah, there's tremendous freedom and tremendous magic, when you're able to let go of, all of that and stop taking the world so personally.
Who would you be if you didn't take things personally? How much nicer would you walk through your days?
Exactly. So give it a try. We hope that speaks to you today on this Tuesday, and enjoy the rest of the week. We'd love to hear from you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.